I am Marshall Holland, and I am the Mormon Family. All right, we've got another controversial topic to discuss today. Today we want to talk about Candace Owens, the Mormon Mafia, the Tyler Robinson trial, Jennifer Faumuina, and a few other things. So I got some insight on this because I served my mission in Hawaii, 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and my first area I was in Makakilo, and I knew the Faumuina family. So I've got some insights. Let's talk about that, and then let's go through the Mormon Mafia a little bit, what she talks about on it, and then a few other things that she talks about. And so I'm going to say this because I used to like Candace Owens, but now, man, she's grasping at straws to make money, and it's that simple. She wants to make the money. All right, so Jennifer Faumuina, who is one of the Utah sergeants, I guess, that's in charge of handling evidence in the Tyler Robinson case. There's all sorts of stuff Candace Owens spews about her and her family, and different things, because she doesn't know the Polynesian culture. It's that simple. So I served my mission in Hawaii. I was in Makakilo for the first 4 or 5 months of that, and I knew the Faumuina family. They lived there in Makakilo, and very devout members of the church, and strong, and great family. So one of the things Candace Owens talks about is Jennifer's uncle, who they said was killed in like 1995, and there's controversy surrounding it, whether it was because he was involved in a gang or not. And Candace brings up, how can you be a devoted member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and be in a gang? So typically that's not the case. But Polynesian culture is considerably different from that of American culture. And there are a lot of Polynesian members of the church, whether they are active members of the church or not, that are involved in gangs. And a lot of those members of the church have a testimony of the gospel, and they know that the church is true, but they are still in the gang. And this was all seen last year in Utah at the funeral that was held that there ended up being a drive-by at, and that was gang related. It was a Polynesian gang related drive-by. So when she talks about being a devoted member of the church and being in a gang, and how, trying to say that those two can't be the same, can't happen, it does. You wouldn't believe it unless you see it. But because I served my mission in Hawaii, and after that I hang out with a lot of Polynesians, because of my mission. And so I've met many of them today that, either used to be in gangs or are in gangs. And it's not really the life they want, but it's the life they have right now. So that is particularly common with the Tongans and Samoans. So she's trying to, Candace, when I say she, Candace is trying to relate that to the Mormon Mafia. And, you know, basically trying to say, like, the Faumuinas must be in the Mormon Mafia because the dad, you know, because the uncle died in a, you know, a gang shooting back 30 years ago. So she's just grasping for straws, trying to make this stick. And, you know, it's not the case. So Candace Owens talks about the Mormon Mafia, starting by talking about how it got its name, being from a group of guys that worked and surrounded Howard Hughes up until his death. And she tries to talk about how, you know, they did all these shady things, and pulls another conspiracy theory basically about them being involved in, alludes to the fact of them being involved in the death of Howard Hughes and all these things. And that is not how, you know, the Mormon Mafia is typically portrayed. That name typically comes from the way in Utah, kind of how we saw in Bricks and Minifigs, right? They're watching out for individuals, are watching out for other individuals of the church, and kind of trying to shield them. And that's not everybody, that's some people, and that's some people, as we've seen in positions of public positions like police officers and such, as we've seen in the Bricks and Minifigs scandal. So I don't think what Candace Owens is saying about the Faumuina family and about the Mormon Mafia are relevant in this case at all. She's really grasping for straws and trying to see what'll stick. So one of the other things she talked about is there was a member of that group with Howard Hughes that ended up, I think Duncan Aviation or something, somehow related to that, and how there was a plane with Egyptian tags or whatever that took off from Utah that afternoon for Delaware. And so, once again, it's a grasp. If you look for things, if you look for certain things, you're going to find certain things, whether they're related or not. There are coincidences that happen every single day that are unrelated to what actually happened. So let's go. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about. In one of her things, in one of the same podcasts where she was talking about the Mormon Mafia, she was talking about these nitrile gloves being found in the SUV that took Charlie Kirk to the hospital. This, for some reason, she thinks this is like very, very important, and it's not. Like, I took a Stop the Bleed class a couple of years ago, and from that class I decided, man, I'm going to have a trauma kit in all my vehicles. So in all my vehicles I have, nitrile or latex gloves, along with some other things that will, help save lives if I needed to. I don't feel like it's uncommon for these trained officers, trained security personnel to have trauma kits in their SUVs. Many of these guys are either prior military or prior law enforcement. They've seen some stuff, and you know, they want to be prepared with a med kit and different things like that if there was a trauma. She's like, why would you wear gloves? You know, there's only one reason to wear gloves, and that's to hide prints. Ask any doctor if that's why they wear gloves when they perform surgeries and different things. Wearing gloves when someone's bleeding has a lot more to do with the blood and disease and spread of things than it does anything else. She also talked about, you know, this piece of a shirt that would look like it had been cut in the vehicle, which, you know, in my trauma kit I have shears as well. Shears like a paramedic would have in order to cut someone's shirt off if their shirt needed to be cut off. So she says it herself at the end of one of the podcasts, or one of the sections she was talking about this. She says that I'm telling you all this because it's interesting, and that's all it is. There's nothing to it. It is just interesting, and she wants people to believe it, and she wants, you know, she's raking in that revenue from running this. So, you know, I'm sorry Candace Owens has come down to this. I'm sorry she's doing this stuff, because, you know, when she did the stuff on Black Lives Matter and things like that, it was more based on fact. So anyways, just my 2 cents on this.